This is Gavin McKenna. He turned 17 years old last week and scored the game winner for Team Canada at the World Juniors in their first game this year. As the 8th youngest player to ever crack Team Canada's roster, he started as an extra forward, but by the time training camp finished, he was already on the second line. Before he left for training camp to play for Team Canada, he was leading all players in Canadian hockey in points. The last guy to do that as a 16-year-old, Sidney Crosby. On top of that, he's from Yukon, a territory in Canada with just 3 players to ever play an NHL game. He's breaking barriers and could put his home on the map. Oh yeah, and he's cousins with Connor Bedard.
Gavin McKenna.
When McKenna was selected for Team Canada at the World Juniors, it kind of felt like an obvious pick. That being said, there's only 5 players in the last 20 years who made the team 2 seasons before they were drafted, and almost all of them turned into Hall of Famers or are on their way to the Hall of Fame. Maybe not Lafreniere. Why was it such an easy pick? Well, McKenna sees and feels the game like any superstar talent. He plays that cerebral game that's become so common in the NHL today. He's always thinking 2 steps ahead, so much so that even he would describe it as his biggest trait when describing his playstyle. Vision and intelligence are 2 traits that are hard to quantify, but he does make plays that feel like no one else on the ice can even see. This has led to plays where he passes through everyone. Gotta imagine that in a consistent system with some finishers who have chemistry with McKenna, that these are instant goals. McKenna's always looking for a pass, and he wants to know his options at all times. He looks a bit like Quinn Hughes here when he's looking for a stretch pass. He needs to bank it off the boards and it leads to a scoring chance. He loves putting it into the crease and just seeing what happens. When it's a high danger spot, anything could happen even if no one is there yet. Here he gets the puck in a dangerous spot and makes a no-look pass that just runs through everyone. He puts up these crazy point totals, but it always feels like he could have a couple more in every game. Overall, his IQ and playmaking is elite. It's what you'd expect from a silky potential first overall pick. You could describe him as a playmaker, and that's probably the best way to describe him. That being said, he has a heavy shot and he likes to use it. He shoots a lot and likes to catch the goalie off guard with it, a la Jack Hughes. When you're an elusive player and you're always looking for passes, sometimes just putting it on net can catch a goalie, especially when it's quick and placed well, which is the case most of the time with McKenna. On a breakaway, he loves to shoot low. As covered by along the ice, shooting low is the highest percentage shot right now, and McKenna is well aware of that. He tries to open up the 5-hole on the breakaway, a move he loves to pull out when he's alone in front. He has an accurate shot and loves to pick a corner. When he has time, he'll be patient, waiting for his spot to open up. That being said, when he doesn't have time, he has the ability to get it off his stick quickly. This is a skill that some NHL players don't have in their arsenal, and it makes you a much more valuable threat on a 2-on-1. If you can pick your spot without having to settle down the puck, goalies have to rely on a desperation move to stop you. When it comes to scoring goals, he knows how to get to dangerous areas and how to tip it in. It's a lot of elusive play and coming around from behind the net to enter a dangerous spot. It takes high game IQ to know when there's going to be a shot coming from the point, which McKenna has in spades. Like we covered in the Bedard video, when you have trouble getting to the dangerous spots on the ice, you're susceptible to some major goal-scoring droughts. The fact that McKenna seems like he's getting ready to crash the house at the NHL level is a good sign for his development. He can score goals at an elite level for a prospect, especially someone who's over a year away from being drafted, but what really shines as his best trait is his puck skills. This isn't Trevor Zegras puck skills that make John Tortorella pissed off. It's puck skills that make a difference on the ice and open up space. He has an insane handle, and he uses it for zone entries, creating space, and for deception when he has the puck. I don't think of him as a Patrick Kane making moves in front to score, but more of a McDavid where he makes plays to make space. He takes a puck on the power play and cuts through 2 Swiss defenders before passing backhand to a streaking teammate. Then he takes away the stick from the Swiss defender before being the first on a rebound. Here he shows his puck reception. The Swiss player doesn't get the puck onto his stick fast enough, and McKenna has possession by the time he's turned around. A defenseman is covering the pass, and McKenna looks, fakes left, and at the last second he cuts right to completely sidestep the defenseman before making a pass. An elite move that takes a lot of skill is facing a defender early on a 1-on-1. This forces a defenseman to make a move and can result in him looking a little bit silly. That's how McDavid has taken advantage of so many poor defensemen over the years, and it looks like something McKenna has learned early. He's being trailed by 2 Americans but manages to stop on a dime to get space from the first, fakes going up the boards before putting it right in front of his skates, creating 10 feet of space. That's a move that you can't really teach, and while an NHL coach might call it a little bit careless, some guys are allowed to make those plays when they do them with enough success. McKenna is probably going to be that guy at the NHL level. His puck skills are so good that you could argue there are a handful of NHL players who are never going to get to where he's at now, and Reminder, he's 16 years old in almost all of these clips. So offensively, he's a phenom, but defensively, he's not really a slouch either. He played penalty kill for Team Canada at the Helinko World Cup, which you maybe wouldn't expect. He has a super active stick, which has done some serious work for him in terms of creating opportunities. He's looking for a counterattack a lot in the defensive zone, and he's not afraid to block shots. He doesn't do any of that pussy knock down, stay down either, and it's quickly back up, which leads to a shorthanded chance after the ref called a penalty. He reads his play perfectly from behind and puts pressure on the left side of the puck carrier. The Czech player feels the pressure and turns right, where McKenna is already primed to lift the stick and retain possession. Here he reads the pass perfectly and carries his speed into the neutral zone before making a play. He doesn't lay the body and is significantly more focused on making a play with the stick instead.
Does anything stand out to you looking at this at the start here?
I think that check-in might be a little
low, hey?
I think it might be a little high.
Oh, a little high?
I don't know. I don't think I've laid a hit in my career.
As he gets a little bit bigger and enters a different role in his career, he could use his body more, but guys like Kucherov have found success without playing the body that much. He won a cup in 2021, leading the team in points, but was last on the team in hits.
From the Lightning, we have Nikita Kucherov.
Congratulations. How would you describe your emotions right now after doing what you guys did?
I don't know what to say.
Not really much of a worry. He generates a lot of counterattacks from the defensive end, but his speed isn't necessarily game-breaking yet at this point of his career. That being said, there are moments where he looks like he could be one of the faster players in the NHL one day. Remember, he's only 16 in a lot of these clips and weighed 165 pounds at 6 feet tall. At the most recent weigh-in for Team Canada, he's up to 183 pounds at 6 foot. He's putting on weight quickly and still keeping his speed, which is a good sign for what's to come. Skating is not just speed though, and he loves relying on his edges to make space. He pulls this move a couple times where he would slow down going to the blue line before using his edges to quickly cut back and create separation. Probably won't work as well in the NHL when guys are expecting that move, but having that in your arsenal is never a bad thing. Just ask Cale Makar, who schooled Kirby Dach a couple years ago using this move. He stops on a dime after pushing the puck into open space before putting it on net hoping for a tip. Here he reads the pass perfectly and is able to burst past the defenseman. Now, what about his celebrations? They're sick as hell, and they will absolutely cement him as the #1 overall pick. If you're drafting a guy and he doesn't get weird after scoring, what is the point in drafting him? If I had to describe McKenna's player type, it would be a cerebral, offensive phenom. He reads every play, and it really feels like he can do everything he wants when he's out on the ice. A player comparison for him might be Jack Hughes, but McKenna could come in and be his own breed of player. Imagine Hughes with a bit more of a methodical game style instead of a run and gun play style. Gavin McKenna isn't getting drafted until 2026. He has 18 months to work on his game and about 21 months before he's going to play an NHL game. He looks like he's going to be the #1 overall pick, and it seems almost impossible to change that narrative. Leading the CHL in scoring as a 16-year-old is insane. He's Connor Bedard's cousin, not through blood, it's actually through marriage. Just thought I'd point that out. And like a lot of great hockey families, it seems like being able to talk to someone who's been through it before is a major game changer in terms of development. Looks like Canada is getting another young offensive phenom who could be a #1 overall pick right after Bedard and Celebrini, and McKenna might be Canada's answer to America's Jack Hughes.